Super short story time. Coming out to my family and being open about the fact that I wanted to pursue a polygynous space, it wasn't difficult for me at all. I came out as a bisexual woman at like the age of 15. And I've always had the type of attitude where it's like, it's my life, I'm going to make these decisions. Obviously, not just being disrespectful, but I knew very early on that these were decisions for me to make and not anyone else, right? So when I first told my parents that I was going to pursue a polygynous space, my mother specifically would always crack jokes about, me and my gang of people showing up to family functions. And if you show up with them, we're not going to feed all of the people that you're going to bring. And I finally nipped it in the bud. And so my mother would crack these jokes all the time, like, oh, if you pull up with a whole tribe of people, we're not going to feed them, and we can't afford to be feeding a busload of people, all your wives and your husband, and y'all gonna have like 30 kids. And so like she would, in the very beginning, she would always say things like that. And I would just kind of let her get her rocks off, because I'm like, girl, please, little do you know, I just won't fucking show up. And that's always been my attitude. It wasn't until I actually said that to her, I literally said it to her in conversation one time. I just looked her dead in her eyes and I said, well, Mom, if that's truly how you feel, then we just won't come. Like, literally, I won't show up. You don't have to see my tribe. You won't see me or your grandchildren either. Now, this is when it got real, because I'm pretty sure that up into me saying that, my mother actually thought she was eating, because this had been going on. And this was without me even being in a relationship. At this point in time, I wasn't even in an actual relationship. I was just really trying to prepare them for what I knew was soon to come. And if you know my family, like, on outside looking in, like, it's cookie cutter perfect, but honestly, it's the standard toxic Black family, which is very unfortunate. I'll say that for a whole nother story time. But as it pertains to like me and my immediate family, I really wanted my parents to understand that this was not just a phase. I think they thought that when I started to date women, that was going to be a phase. And it probably, confused them when I went from being in a long-term relationship with a woman to being in a relationship with a man. And even with me explaining to them that I had grown to the fact that I understand my position as a woman, and I now know that I need a Black man. And we're talking about, like, this is in my early 20s, you know what I mean? So like I was super young, but I very quickly realized that I'm not meant to just be in a relationship with just a woman. Although I'm like super attracted to women, I wanted them to understand that this was not a phase and this was what it was going to be. And me trying to explain this to them, obviously, my mom got lost in the shuffle at some point. But when I said it to her that way, her entire demeanor changed. Like, her face just completely washed over, and she got like really serious, and she turned and she said, okay, well, I was just joking. I wasn't meaning it that way. But I just don't understand why you can't just find you a nice guy and just marry just him. So honestly, it's been a struggle with attempting to educate my parents on my position. And I'm not saying that it's a losing battle, but I'm just saying that I don't ever want to have to sell myself, and I teach to the fact that we shouldn't have to sell ourselves. So I'm honestly not interested in going over that with my parents, or anyone for that matter.